Hello and welcome to Willow Talk once again. Adam Peacock here. Lisa Healy's not here. She's off being an athlete. How dare she? Being a professional cricketer. And Brad Haddin is, I think he's landed in northern India ahead of the IPL, so we won't bother him right now. We've still got a show for you, though, and Hadds is going to play a part of it a little later on here on Willow Talk. Shortly, though, we're going to chat to a special guest joining us, South Australia captain Nathan McSweeney. He's going to dive into the success of the SACAs this season. Say that 10 times fast after 6 beers. And it's not just across the one-day format, it's the Shield as well. We're going to ask him, Adelaide Oval, have they set up a little blockade there to keep out AFL so they can play the game there? We'll get to that in a moment. And Ask Hadds is back. We did, before Hadds jetted off to the IPL, sit down with Hadds for a Q&A. We put the questions out to you out there in Willow Talk land, and you've come back in spades. So we've got some great questions for Brad Haddin that we'll get to later on. And before we get into the guts of the show, don't forget to fill out our latest survey for a chance to win a Grey Nick Scoop bat and a Willow Talk trucker hat. There's one bat and 11 hats to be won. All you've got to do is head to the episode notes and click the survey link, fill it out. Takes about 5 minutes, then enter the draw to win. We've had hundreds of responses, so thank you. Some very kind, some very frank. Thank you to both. Might need to scale back the golf chat, though, as mentioned before. We are a cricket podcast, not a golf podcast, as myself and Heels try to turn it into from time to time, but that's the way it goes. Please fill out the survey. It really does help. Helps us plan the show as well. Details in the episode notes. And get in before it closes on Sunday night. And remember to hit us up on social media if you want to get in touch with us here. It's Willow Talk Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. And subscribe to the YouTube channel at Listener Sport. Hello to everyone watching on YouTube. And we want to get to your correspondence next week on Tuesday with Heels, when we're going to be back for another episode of Willow Talk. But right now, a really special guest joining us on Willow Talk, South Australia captain and Australia representative over the summer as well, Nathan McSweeney joins us right now. Nathan, thanks very much for joining us, mate, and thanks for sticking by that long intro by myself here. Hadds and Heels have deserted me, but thank you for joining me on this episode of Willow Talk, mate. How are things?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be on. I'm looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Okay, let's get straight to it. Your cricket team has become a political football, literally, this week down there in South Australia. For the listeners around the world, South Australia, little old South Australia, wasn't expected. They're going to host the Sheffield Shield. So unexpected it was that they've, the week of the Shield final, when it's slated for, there's 2 games of AFL footy either side of when the Shield final is. South Australia are going to host now. They deserve to host it at Adelaide Oval. What's going on down there, mate? Is it a complete bun fight? Are you in the Premier's office pushing him in the right direction for you guys to have the Shield final at Adelaide Oval?
I'll stay out of the politics, that's for sure. But there's plenty going on down here at the moment. It's in every page of the paper, and we're happy to play wherever. But obviously Adelaide Oval is probably bit biased, but one of my favourite cricket grounds in the world, and I think everyone would love to play there. So hopefully, the Premier and everyone else who's helping us can get it over the line.
You're the captain, mate. You've got to lead from the front. You've got to be in his ear the whole time. You've got to be with him at the press conferences. I think he's on your side, reading between the lines at the moment. He wants it there. It could be a great week for sport in South Australia. Yeah,
I think so. And to have the one-day final there was great as well. Not often we get a big turnout for domestic games this day and age, but it was nice to see. Obviously, the SACA members have been waiting a while for some success, and it's nice to get some in front of them a couple of weeks ago. And I assure that if we do have the Shield final in Adelaide, there'll be a fair turnout for us, and hopefully it can get over the line.
It's been a hell of a 6 months for you, and we'll get to the international stuff in a while, and facing Bumrah and your test debut and travelling to Sri Lanka as well. But state-wise, it couldn't have gone, I can't see how it, to this point, could have gone any better. One regular season game left in the Shield. You're going to host the final. If you won the Dean Jones Trophy as well, the one days. Mate, how has this come about? Because South Australia in the last few years has basically been the team that doesn't threaten anyone, with all due respect.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. I don't know. To be honest, there's probably not one, magic answer. I think it's probably an old saying in sport: you're never going as good or as bad as you think you are. And I think that's probably a true testament to that. I think we won 2 or 3 games the couple of years leading in. I think the difference this year we've had, Kez, unbelievable start of the year for us, and then we had three guys, Alex, Travis, myself, miss a lot of Shield cricket this year and one day cricket, and we're able to. There's not just one guy we're relying on this year. Is what I'm trying to say. I think we've had so many contributors with bat and ball is probably the difference between relying on one or two guys in previous years to really binding together, thanks to Ryan Harris as well, who's come on board, and a new S&C and a new GM. There's been so much change over the last 12 months. It's very rewarding to see that where, as you said, we've won a trophy so far, and we're a good chance to hopefully get our hands on another one.
Yeah, of course, Ryan has had the immediate impact in terms of results, but Jason Gillespie was there helping. South Australia has almost been the second chance state in many ways, breeding their own, but also complementing with players like yourself from other parts of the country. How does that mesh together and become a team that wants to be feared, or do you just want to be a team that is together and play some good version of whatever sport you play and let the rest take care of itself?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think, the only friends I have in Adelaide are cricket mates, guys I didn't know anyone when I came down to South Australia, and I think a lot of the other boys are in the same boat, and we hang out on the field, off the field, and I think that's a real positive for our group and a real strength of ours. Thanks to South Australia for, as you said, giving a lot of the players a second chance to try and see if we're good enough for Shield cricket and first class cricket. And a lot of our success comes from a little bit of hope from selectors and GMs for giving guys a go that haven't quite nailed it in their first opportunity. So it's a team that's definitely got hunger through various reasons, whether it's not quite working out in their home state and want to prove people wrong, and it's got, as you said, homegrown boys who want to play well for South Australia and have come through the system. So it's awesome to probably have a coach like Ryan at the moment who's done a little bit of both. He started in South Australia and moved to Queensland, so the boys gel really nicely together. We spend a lot of time together on and off the field, and it's great to see us having some success on the field.
I mean, your move. Is my memory serving me correct here or totally wrong? Could be totally wrong. It's not the first time. But did you drive from Queensland down to Adelaide to get there?
No, that was
place?
That was my roommate Brendan Doggett did that.
Brendan Doggett did
that. I flew a day before the COVID happened, so I got out of Queensland without having to drive through various borders to try and escape COVID rules. So my roommate did that. It's a long journey.
Does he remind you of that, the fact that you did it the easy way and he did it the hard way, and now we're both getting the rewards? Or
yeah, I had to move all his stuff in when he was driving down. So, but yeah, it's funny how it all happened. But yeah, he's moved on now from me with a family of his own, so he can't have two kids in the house, he always says, so I've moved out as he's got a newborn. So, very funny.
It's worked out for both of you because you're going up in the world, both of you, and he's bowled so well in the last 12 months, and you've gone pretty good with the bat as well. So Ryan Harris is a coach for you, so you're captain. How's he helped you become a captain and deal with the added responsibility of looking after your own form as well as looking after everyone else?
Yeah, I think just anyone that knows Ryan probably can speak to his passion and how loyal he is. I think the boys just respect, obviously a lot of us grew up watching him play, but the way he's been able to connect and build, relationships with the players, no one wants to let him down. He brings that effect on people. You just don't want to let Rhino down. And I think that accountability has definitely shone through this year with training on the field. I think there's been several instances where I think in the one-day comp we got bowled out for 160 twice and we were able to bowl him out. And I think that's just his attitude. Whatever we got will be enough. And I think the bowlers in particular have really taken that on board. And I think just his passion for the game, for South Australia, for, us, his teammates or his team, is no one wants to let him down. I think that's his biggest strength.
He's mentioned your attitude has been great towards everything, and you've relished facing challenges. But like, I don't know, is that you putting on a brave face some of the time? Because sometimes you're within, you've got doubts, or your attitude, your own attitude isn't where it should be. Where's the balance there?
Yeah. No, I think everyone who plays the game has self-doubts, and when Bumrah's running in, and I think I averaged 4 against him in the series, there's definitely some times in the hotel room trying to tinker with ways that how I can combat that, and what I'm doing, is it the right way? Do I stick through it, or do I try and mix things up? I think that's the game, and that's what makes it really challenging. So I guess from my point of view and my attitude is, everyone's thought, of self-doubt at some stage, so it doesn't make me any different. The best players in the world, I'm sure, speaking to a rubbing shoulders, they all doubt themselves at times. But when you're out there in the middle, what can you focus on? And that's just watching the ball and trying to score as best you can. I think that's what I try and mark myself pretty hard on, and accept whatever thought comes my way. I think the game's about learning and growing, learning from your experiences, which I've had plenty of the last 6 months, which is really exciting for me. And hopefully as a player, I continue to learn and grow and come back better for it.
Yeah. One more before we get to delve into that international stuff. So being a captain though at state level, and especially when you've come back after the summer that you've had with those ups and downs, I mean, I'm a parent, and I try to convey to my kids that I'm always in control and in command of the whole situation. But I walk out of the room sometimes after giving a bake or giving them some stern advice, and I walk out and I go, "What the hell was that? Well, I have no idea what I'm on about here. I'm just playing guesswork and plucking things out of my ass." Is it the same as being a captain sometimes, that you're trying to be this like calm, in command leader, but really you walk away from a conversation and go, "What a load of rubbish that might have sounded like. I'm not sure about myself here."
Yeah, I agree, definitely. At times in games, for a couple of overs, you're like, "Geez, I wasn't even switched on there. What's happened in those last 2 overs?" I think cricket in particular, we're lucky, it happens at a slow pace where you often if you're fielding the slips, you've got guys next to you that you can bounce ideas from. And that's why I give credit to Paddy, who stands at mid-off and bowls. Like, I'm not unsure how he's so calm and clear when he's skippering, because generally if you're a skipper, a lot of the time you're in the court and you've got 3 or 4 guys to bounce ideas off. But there's definitely, it's not all calm, that's for sure. You get it wrong, and you just got to make sure you don't try and not make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, good. I knew there was some kind of comparison there, because I'm never going to be a cricket captain, but I knew there was some similarity in some regard. But okay, the Australian summer, what actually did it give you as a cricketer? Did it give you any kind of belief, or did you come out of it after that Test series a little unsure about yourself?
I guess satisfaction, and it gave me a probably sense of obviously joy, but the kind of, making all the sacrifices that mum and dad made worth it initially, and to be able to, looking back on my first day in the baggy green in Perth and having my family there on the field is probably something I'll hopefully never forget for the rest of my life, because that's what it's all about. And the amount of Ks mum and dad drove to get me to training, and the amount of, I guess, knocking in the new bat that my sister had to put up with growing up as a kid. It's just everything about my childhood was trying to play for Australia, and to share it with them was special. And then it all plays out, and it kind of felt like those first 3 tests just happened really quickly, and then find myself back playing for the heat, which was at the time a really good thing. I have heaps of close mates and family in Brisbane that I could lean on. But yeah, I guess you kind of get rattled around a little bit when you're playing. It gave me a sense of confidence. What I've been doing has worked really well for me. It's given me, it's rewarded me the opportunity. And then you face Bumrah. That was immensely challenging, and not quite get the score you'd like to kickstart your career. And you find yourself looking back on it now, trying to work out ways that you would try and tackle it differently. And it's all been, a whirlwind experience for sure, but one that I've loved. And I think now it's just about keep trying to develop my game and get better. And hopefully that means I'm better for the next opportunity.
Yeah. Facing Jasprit Bumrah like you did in the first test, with that sense of occasion about everything you've just described, what it meant to you emotionally with your family and your background. And then all of a sudden you're facing this bloke with the new rock in fading light. And it was like, what? ...
Yeah, chaos, probably. Tough work.
Tough work.
Yeah, tough work is probably an understatement. He's an incredible bowler that I was probably naive going into it, never faced him before, and I'll be fine. But yeah, he's an incredible bowler that has great skill, but just relentless ability to pitch the ball in the area where you don't want as a batter. So yeah, it was a very tough challenge, but also gave me a little bit of hope that no one kind of had great success against him, and everyone was trying to tackle him at the same time, and no one was playing him with ease, which gave me a little bit of confidence.
So when he is at his height, just about to release, like,
yeah,
what are you looking at? What are you looking for? What are you hoping for?
Yeah, it's such a unique run up because he starts really early, and then he obviously like kind of walks in, and you feel like you're waiting for an age before he releases the ball, and then as soon as he gets to the crease, the ball hits the bat a lot harder than any other bowler I'll face. So I'm just trying to watch the seam as close as I can, and hopefully I react well and get in a good position. But it's quite a unique action. And yeah, I just remember from when he started to when he released the ball felt like a minute 30, and then after that it felt like I didn't have any time.
Mate, you deserve the call-up, obviously, with your form over a period of time and getting Australia A representation. But then, is it a totally different beast when you're in the middle of a series like this and people are evaluating you, and people who have no idea who you are are evaluating your own self-worth as a cricketer? And I don't know, a family feeding info to you and I can't believe they're saying this about you. What's that like?
Yeah, it's probably tough work, to be honest. I think, as a player, I can not look at Facebook and not read any comments on Instagram. I see obviously the articles and stuff, but I try not to read the comments that everyone can have access to. But as you said, family do, and they can't help themselves. And the odd text message comes across, and I didn't really need to know that, Granddad, or I didn't really need to know that.
His granddad's going all right picking up comments off Instagram.
Yeah, massive font, I reckon, these days. He'd be zooming in. But no, it's all good, and it comes from the right place. But at the end of the day, as I said before, I think as a player, I like to think that everyone's had doubts or comments come across their desk at some stage in the career, and it hasn't stopped players from being successful. So everyone's got a right to have an opinion and whatnot, but I know what works for me, and I've got to be really strong on that.
What'd you make when Sammy Konstas decided to play Bumrah rather unconventionally? Did you think, shit, should have tried that, or fair play to him?
Yeah, went out and tried to practice reverse ramps for an hour in the next net session. It was incredible, to be honest. I think we were in Coffs Harbour, and I remember waking up and we were in Big Bash mode, so I slept in a little bit, and he had already made 50. And I'm like, how's he done that? And then I looked at the footage at lunch, and it was incredible. It takes unbelievable skill and courage to play those shots, for one, let alone on your first test. It's, I guess from my take on it, he got Bumrah off his length and started bowling something different to what he was. So in my own way, how could I have done that is probably a question I asked myself. And it's definitely, as I said, a great learning, and something that I haven't thought about reverse ramping in a Shield game or a test match. It didn't once come into my mind. But I think, as we've seen England do it well at times, but there's definitely, I think, room for it in test cricket.
Well, you did it was a conventional ramp, if there's such thing as a conventional ramp. It sounds ridiculous, but you ramped first ball, or one of your first balls back in Big Bash. I'm just trying to remember the time frame, though. Did you do it before Boxing Day, or was it?
No, it was my first game. Or it might have been. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it was after.
So you've kind of followed Sam's lead, or did Sam pick it up off you when he's watching the Big Bash last night? But yeah, maybe we should try that against Bumrah. Seems like a sensible idea.
No, I don't think Sammy picked that one up from me. He's had that in the repertoire for a while, I think. But yeah, it's something that I spoke to Ron McDonald in Sri Lanka, obviously post the Indian Test series, and it's a shot that obviously I play in Big Bash, and it's something I've never ever thought about playing in Test cricket. But he said, at times there's room for it to push guys off their lengths and make them try and do something different if you're having a little bit of trouble. So something I'll keep working on, and try and use your tactical nous to choose when to play it and not. And don't get out doing it, because Dad will be straight on the phone, I would have thought.
Oh, will he? He will be ropeable, or Granddad as well. That'd be ropeable if you put out that one.
I mean, probably just more saying the traditionalists of the game will be, and Dad's one of them. So keep the ball on the ground, you can't get out, is what he says. So, but yeah, I think the game's trending that way, and to keep exploring some shots, and your game is not going to hurt you.
Yeah, if you want to sound like a dinosaur in cricket, you just come up with a comment, playing the V in the first 15 balls. Doesn't happen too much these days, does it?
There's a V behind you as well, does it?
Yeah, exactly. They've done it the other way. That Sri Lanka tour, so going on tour with those guys in an environment like that, and the team had great success. What did you pull out of that?
Yeah, I think it was nice to know as well after getting dropped that they haven't seen enough, and I was still around the group, which was awesome to be selected for that. And I guess just the clearness of planning, leaning in Dubai, what Uzi was trying to get out of it, what Smith was trying to get out was so clear, and then to see him execute that in the game was incredible. So I think it just took out, if you've got an opportunity to plan and prepare for something, really nail that, and it gives you every chance for success, and that's exactly what they did in those kind of conditions.
Hadds has always said on Willow Talk about when you go from a state environment to the test environment, the thing that hits you between the eyes before you even get out there is the intensity of training and preparation.
Yeah.
So can you relate to that now that you've seen Steve Smith prepare for a test match? And what can you say about, for instance, he's one player, but his preparation?
Yeah. What was he's probably the one that stuck out the most. Being in Australia, you hardly ever see him sweep or reverse sweep, and him not saying Uzi's getting on, but Uzi's a little bit older than
he's nearly 40,
most boys at training, and he won't mind me saying that. But he doesn't normally hit for hours on end, and he gets what he needs, and he knows what to do in Australia in particular. But in Dubai, he was hitting for hours. He was almost the last one batting, and he was just facing spin, sweeping both ways. And even in Sri Lanka when we first got there, he hit for a long time. And I remember him walking past. He goes, "Now I just needed to get used to the conditions. I don't sweep that much in Australia. I just want to make sure I've got my sweeps nailed, because I know when I'm in trouble, I'll need them to get me out, and then to play the game. And when the ball felt like it was spinning a little bit more, or a bowler was bowling a good spell, he was just able to reverse or sweep and get off strike. And he made 250, I think he made. So that was just such a clear planning, and then to go and execute the way he did was incredible.
Yeah, great story. Now, Nathan, Cricket Australia has announced a one-off test to be played between Australia and England at the MCG in March 2027. So it's 2 years. It's a long way down the road, but it's to celebrate the 150th anniversary of men's Test cricket, and it will be a pick ball day-night match. So 2 years away, senior players, whatever. Nice little carrots. Probably not like right in front of you right now, given that South Australia are going okay this season. And yeah, you want to get back into the team, but I mean, wow, what an occasion. What an opportunity for anyone involved in that. And I mean, if there was any motivation required to get back into the test side, have I just mentioned it?
Yeah, that definitely that'd be a dream come true. Yeah, I think Test cricket's been around for obviously 150 years. It's a game that still holds great, I guess, pedigree, and for me, it's the pinnacle. And it'd be awesome to get back in there and play at a full packed house at the G under lights would be a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, so that was an exciting announcement this week from Cricket Australia. Australia, England, MCG, March 2027 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of men's Test cricket. And given what's happened in Adelaide this week, hopefully Cricket Australia has okayed it with the AFL. Before we move on, Nathan, just a couple of quick ones to end our chat. Buddha, your nickname. Who gave it to you and why?
Yeah, PE teacher when I was in, I think I was 4. I think they used to call it preschool back then, but it's prep now. Or I used to be chubby, and so he called me Buddha, and then not sure how it'd go down these days at school, but all the kids jumped on board, and soon after I started running around playing footy and cricket, and it wasn't Buddha no more, but the name couldn't quite shake the name, so it stuck with me, and it's been called worse things, so it's not a bad nickname to have.
Well, in this day and age, it's not about fat shaming; it's about having a calm temperament. And you being a captain, it's actually a really good nickname, isn't it, to have?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'll just change the story. The PE teacher thought I was calm and amongst the kids, and picked a leader out.
I mean, imagine being a captain, your nickname's Psycho or something like that. That would
exactly.
Buddha's a lot better. Quick couple as well, staples here at Willow Talk. Hardest bowler you've ever faced in the nets?
Pat Cummins.
Not
Probably.
Fun?
No, not fun. I don't think any of those Australian bowlers are fun in the nets. You're just checking your fingers when you walk out. You've got them all, and you can carry on. But he just obviously we've seen it for a long time now. But his bouncer is just not as short as other people's bouncers. I feel you always think you can ride it, and then all of a sudden it's up around your ears. And he's obviously got great skill as well. Swings the ball both ways at good pace. So Paddy's not the easiest to face.
And you're not impartial to rolling the arm over yourself. So who's the best batsman or batter that you've bowled to?
Steve Smith doesn't make you feel that good bowling. I feel like he can just choose where he wants to hit the ball. So I don't bother setting the field to Smithy when I bowl to him, because I think it looks like I'm wasting his time bowling to him. So give it to the next bloke.
Nicely summed up. Nathan McSweeney, really appreciate your time on Willow Talk. Best of luck to the Sackers for the last 2 games, one being a final, opponent TBA, venue TBA. Hoping for your sake it's Adelaide Oval. Go well, mate.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, mate.
That's Nathan McSweeney on Willow Talk. We're off to a quick break here and back with Ask Hadds. It's a cracking edition. Let's get into Ask Hadds, shall we? Now, James opened us, and thank you again to all our members on the Secret Cricket Club. Dive in there on Instagram, and we put up special challenges and opportunities and things like this for an Ask Hadds. James opens up. What's the worst international cricketing memory you have that you were a part of? There you go.
Bang. This is going to be fun today,
Start
isn't
slow.
it? The worst 2011 World Cup, being knocked out in India, was pretty tough. But I think the worst is losing an Ashes campaign, because once you lose an Ashes campaign, you spend so much time in promoting it, doing everything to build up to the series. There's always an investigation into this if you lose it. So when you lose an Ashes series, everything changes.
Is it worse losing an Ashes series overseas or at home?
Both. At home, because you pride yourself on playing so well in your home conditions. But yeah, that's as bad as you get. But that's not the worst feeling in the game. The worst feeling in the game is dropping a catch.
But I bet it is.
Yeah, because you know the bowler's done all the work and you let someone down. But yeah, losing an Ashes can be bigger than just losing the series sometimes. You can lose captains, coaches have gone after that as well. Some have gone before it, actually, because the importance you put on that series. But there's always an investigations of sorts that goes into it after you lose an Ashes.
Aiden asks, what's your best Warney memory? Now, you've shared a few Warney memories in the time we've been on Willow Talk, and hopefully there's a bit of time to come as well. But I might twist it and say, you're off-broad. Was there a Shield or a state cricket memory that you have? Because you've talked about the internet, the first time you kept to him and all of those things.
I have a state memory. I remember we were playing Warney at North Sydney Oval, and he was one you were so intimidated to get him engaged in the game. Sometimes you felt like he was just rolling his arm over to get ready. And I remember I got a couple of runs in that game, and he sort of said, "Congratulations," but I didn't look at him. I was thinking, don't look at him, don't get him involved in the game, because he had so much of an aura about him. Yeah. And I didn't want to say something wrong, get him involved in the game. We were in front of the game at the time. But probably my best memory.
So I
just looked to the ground.
Thanks.
Yeah. I didn't even say thank you. No, when I started to tour with him later, he said, "Mate, you didn't say a word." I said, "I was that intimidated." Yeah. I didn't want to say the wrong thing, get you involved in the game. But I think the best memory I have is how influential he was on the whole game of cricket. Like, leg spinning wasn't cool to Warney did it, and he changed the generation of spin bowlers, and I think that was my best memory, that the influence he had over not just the teams he was in, but the whole game. And that wasn't just here in Australia. He had to look when he was in the IPL, even when he retired, the influence he had when he commentated, how he was still the star of the show. So to me, the memory is how big a star he was and how big influence he had on people, even when he wasn't playing.
Dave's got a good question. Name the world's best first, second, third slip from any era for your dream cordon.
I'll go the guys I've played with.
Okay.
Waugh, Ponting, Clark.
So Mark Waugh first slip?
Yep. Ponting second, Clark third. Mark Waugh was, I played a bit with him at the back end of his career, and he was as good a natural as catcher as I've seen anyone. It was, I remember just before he retired, and he dropped an absolute sitter, and the whole other 10 players just looked at each other, and we just burst out to laughter because we never seen it.
I'm sure he was cacking himself.
Oh, mate, he said, "I've had enough. I'm not concentrating." He said, "I'm done." But I remember a catch at the SCG, actually, because you had to stand so close because the wicket was low and slow. And I don't know, it was Tasmania. I think it was Graham Cunningham or someone swung as hard as they could, big outside edge. And I didn't actually have time to move. And Mark was up in a second slip. He just sort of moved. Oh, that was a tough. He caught it and flicked it to square leg. But we would have been 2.5 meters away from the bat. Yeah. And anyone else, I wouldn't have got a hand on it. But the time he had, Ponting and Clark, played a lot with them. I've very rarely seen them drop a catch. I can't remember. I can remember Ricky once in a tour game, but I can't think off the top of my head those guys dropping a catch in a test match.
Who would be driving the conversation in that slip score? You know, when you're just in between balls and you're talking about something other than cricket.
Well, it depends on where the game's going.
Okay.
And sometimes if you're on top of the game, everyone's talking. We've got all ideas, but if the game's on a knife edge, and I played when Michael was captain and Ricky, you just sit there and you've got to bide your time to talk, because sometimes they're just venting for the sake of venting, and you're not meant to say a word.
Fair enough.
So you've got to read the room.
Fair enough.
That's Waugh, Ponting, Clark.
Jack, his question: what would your WTC final for Australia be? The 11, I should say, in the World Test Championship final. It's in June at Lords against South Africa.
I think I've picked this, but it's going to change month to month.
Tough one. We sit here right now. Cam Green hasn't made his comeback yet. Yeah, for WA.
I think he's got to find a way in.
Josh Inglis, has he forced his way in?
Well, he got 100 in his first test. Got a duck in his next. Does young Sam go back to the top of the order? I know Travis had alluded to that in Sri Lanka. But does Josh Hazlewood come back in?
I was almost going to say positions 7 to 11 pretty much look after themselves, but you've got
Well, they
the
don't.
Hazlewood v. Boland question.
Well, Boland, we know how good he was when Josh got injured, and Josh was a Test Player of the Year. So has he got enough credits to come in? So
someone's going to be unlucky.
Yeah, they are, and it's a good position to be in. Actually, it's a good question from Jack. At the top of the orders, the big one. Does Sam play? I'm not sure. I'd like to see him find some rhythm in his game and get back to finding what his style is, and we need some young kids. Do you open with Marnus if Green comes back well and put Green up the top of the order? So, yeah, I've sat on the fence a bit there because
big stuff.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of cricket to.
You've got multiple splinters in your backside,
and I reckon it's a really good position for us to be. Do you go the tried and tested one? As I said, Hazlewood, does he come back in? He's a Test Player of the Year, but Boland, every time he got the ball in his hand, he got a wicket. So, yeah, I can give you a squad. I think we're looking for an opener, whether Sam comes back in. You got Bo Webster. He's done nothing wrong.
No.
He deserves to hold his spot as well. So, yeah, give me a couple of weeks with that.
Okay. Sorry, Jack. Didn't answer it, but we talked about it. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Chirag asks, who is your Mount Rushmore of keepers? So four that you chip away at a mountain and put their faces into rock.
Or Healy. I'll go the ones that I've seen. Like if I know you've got guys like Knott, who were great glovemen, the English, but I'll go more the ones that I've seen. Healy and Mark Boucher.
Lisa or
she could definitely be in there. Actually, she's as good at the craft as anyone, male or female.
Yep.
Healy.
So someone from the Healy family.
Yeah. Boucher.
Mark Boucher.
Mark Boucher. I thought he was a pure gloveman. The other one, I'd put Adam Gilchrist in there too. I think he doesn't get enough credit for his keeping. I think we talk a lot about his batting and how he changed the game and how explosive he was, and he probably ruined it for a lot of us that we had to be genuine all around us. So I'd put those three there. And the last one, I'll go just in Indian conditions, is MS Dhoni. The work, he had some tough times in the UK and things like that when the ball was wobbling, but I'm going to go him off the back of what he does up to the stumps. Your concentration for long periods of time up to the stumps in the subcontinent. He's got very, very quick hands. He's got a different technique to a lot of us with his sweeping motion. But
so he starts outside the line of the ball and comes through and collects it on the way?
He's really quick with his hands up to the stumps. It's just like one motion. So
what sorry to butt in, but you as a traditional Australian keeper, you'll get your hands set where you think the ball is going to end up, and you'll get your hands there quicker.
The one thing he does is he sort of moves into the ball at the time. So that he was unique. Like they took some unbelievable catches up to the stumps. So they're the ones. I know if you go through generations, I could, like you put Rod Marsh in there, Dujon, and all the great English keepers, not Jack Russell and guys like that. They were. I just didn't see enough of them. But those guys, I remember watching Jack Russell at the back end of his career, keeping up to the stumps to Ian Harvey. He had his half-eaten floppy on.
Yeah.
And it was just like playing a couple of outswingers, straight down leg side. And his work up to the stumps to fast bowlers was, it was impressive. No helmet and how quick his hands were. So, yeah, they're the four that I seen. They're the ones I was most impressed with.
Wayne's got a question from the Secret Cricket Club. Who will be the player of the IPL in 2025? I bet you're hoping it's a Punjab.
Well, it's got to be one of us. The player of the IPL. Oh, you got the big name obvious ones. I'm going to go left field, Marco Jansen.
Okay.
from South Africa.
He's one of your guys, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mate,
You got him.
he's been impressive over the last 12 months. His game's changed a lot. Even the last game, the Champions Trophy, he was outstanding with the new ball up front. He's starting to believe that he's a good player. And you see a lot of guys start their career with a lot of talent. Then there becomes a period where they start to believe that they really belong. And I think we've seen a bit of him here in Australia. He stood up to the Aussie Quicks. He's got a big ticker. I think he's going to be really impressive with the new ball. And just watch him a bit with his batting. He's improved a lot there. He's got a power game. He's got a brain. He's got a cricket brain. So
he's got a brain. That helps.
So there's a left field one for you.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck with that. Because if he has a good tournament, chances are you're going to have a good tournament. Simon asks, given the Carey-Inglis arrangement, where would Brad Haddin field without gloves? Where did you field?
Well,
I can't remember.
Yeah, I fielded a couple of times. I was mid-off, mid-on. I spent a bit of time at point.
Chuck you there, did they?
Yeah, I was fielding-wise, I was quite quick and I could move laterally.
Okay.
And keepers traditionally got good hands. So
I would have thought a keeper then goes into the slip score.
No, I didn't like it.
Why?
It was, to me, it was totally different. Like, yes, you're going to get every ball, but you couldn't sort of stand. You felt like you wanted to catch the ball that was just left. I didn't enjoy it. Yeah.
You're like a fault on a computer game. You're standing at third slip and the ball just goes through the keeper and there's Haddin diving like Superman in front of the keeper.
I could handle gully. I didn't mind gully because but I was different. A lot of the time, the further you go out the slips, like you don't watch the ball. Some people say, you go to second slip, you just watch the bat. I couldn't do that. I had to watch the ball all the way because you're so used to it. But, I didn't mind it being in the field. I was somewhere in the ring.
How's your arm?
Yeah.
How far could you throw it?
I could throw it from the boundary. My arm's fine.
What, Adelaide Oval side boundary or Adelaide Oval long boundary?
Yeah, I could make the Adelaide Oval long boundary because you don't use your arm. The one thing what happens with players' arms is they just get burnt out. Over time, they get shorter and shorter, their throwing length because they throw so much. But, I didn't have that problem. I can still throw now.
Okay. Baseball outfielder. Look at him go. B. Haddin. Hedges asks, if you had your career over again, or if you had to do it, but on one proviso, you couldn't play for New South Wales, who would you play state cricket for?
I wouldn't play.
You'd boycott.
I'd boycott.
You'd do a Timmy David.
Yeah.
You just can't play franchise.
I go franchise cricket. New South Wales was always where I wanted to. There was never, ever any doubt that I wanted to play for New South Wales. You grew up your whole life in New South Wales, and that's where you wanted to play. I had offers from other states where I had opportunities to go. I remember talking to South Australia and Tassie at the time. But
so the two states you had the least hate for?
Well, no, it was never. I was never really in considering anything like that. Yeah. If I didn't make it at New South Wales, I think I was content. I know the landscape of the game's changed now, and you want the best 11 players playing on the field at all times. There's a lot of movement, but I've already probably taken up another sport.
Look at you sitting here in all blue as well. Kind of gives it away. Vidu asks, who would you rather face, McGrath or Lee?
Oh,
yuck.
Well,
who are you more relieved at?
Well, it depends. If I'm okay about getting out, it's McGrath's going to get you all the time. And I remember facing McGrath in the nets at New South Wales, and I had it in my head not to get out to McGrath. Just don't get out, challenge yourself. And he bowled me 5 beautiful balls in the same spot. I left him, got behind him. I'm thinking, he's sort of smiling at me. 6 ball, same spot, comes back in, takes the top of him off stump. And I said to him afterwards, took me a while. I said, you set me up. He goes, yeah. I said, thought so. And I just walked out.
But you don't even know you're doing it at the time you're being set up.
I was watching it close and leaving the ball thinking, this is good. And the 6th one I left, and as my hands were up, I could see the ball pitch going the other way, and I thought, That's going to hit my stomach. And it only took him 6 balls. So who would I rather face? McGrath, I didn't feel like he could break my bones. Binger, I felt like I could put one in my lid at pace. But Brett and I are the same age, so because he was at Wollongong and ACT, you played together coming through a lot.
Yeah, what was your first Brett Lee?
Oh, mate, young.
Under 12s or something?
Yeah, young age.
And was he always lightning, or did he build up?
No, he's always different. I remember playing him at a New South Wales. He was at New South Wales. I was ACT to 17s Carnival. He was 16. I was 15. And I remember watching the ball. It was just, it's pretty hard to explain because you see some fast bowlers, but he was just different. Like you just went, no. That's not normal. And I know we've spoken about his pace a lot, but I would rather face McGrath because he could just get me out.
Because you like living. Yeah, fair enough.
No broken bones.
Yeah, or like living healthily.
Yeah.
Thomas and Jay ask, who is an upcoming star that you've got a little eye on? Now, we want to preface this. We don't want to put undue pressure on upcoming stars.
Yeah.
Because by far and away, especially in a sport like cricket where there's a lot of head noise, not the finished article, especially with a bat, but who's showing a bit of promise that you're looking forward to seeing the future development of?
Oh, there's a number of ways I can answer this question. Like say, I'm looking forward to how Jake Fraser-McGurk and Cooper Connolly develop. They've just started their international journey. They're going to get a lot of opportunities now over the next few years to see what sort of players that they turn into. So guys like that, I'm fascinated to watch what their development ends up and where their end game is, because we've seen how talented they are in little snippets, but let's see when they become consistent international cricketers. If I'm looking...
So it's 12 months ago, just for our listeners, you sat here and told us about Sam Konstas.
Yeah.
You said, just keep an eye on this guy.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of talent. He's scoring runs for fun at every age group that he's gone through the system. Is there something like that out there that, again, we don't want to put undue pressure on, but...
Is there ones... Oh, there's young kids. No, I can't put pressure on them. I tell you who's someone we need to watch out for. He got 80 last game for New South Wales, actually. He's Lockie Shaw.
Yep. He played for the Sixers.
He played for the Sixers. He feels a bit like Jordan Silk. He can take the gloves if he needs to. Yeah, he's
It's not bad.
Nah, he's got one of those 360 games. You'll start to see him develop a bit more. He got 80 in the last one day for New South Wales, but he's got all the trick shots. And if he learns to understand when to use those and in the right moments, he could be someone that could be fast-tracked to some good things, especially in the white ball game. If I've got to throw one, there's a kid that hasn't played much, Blake Nikitaris. Open and bat. I reckon if he gets a crack at it for a long period of time, he plays a bit like a Matthew Hayden. He bullies the game. He's a big kid. Mate, Dixon as well. He's from Victorian, left-hand bat. Mate, he came out of the same 19s group as Sam.
Yeah.
So I expect him to play some pretty important and entertaining innings in the next time. So I've said a couple. I don't want to pigeonhole any one kid.
Yeah. So a couple to keep an eye on rather than expect that they're going to be playing in a baggy green within 2 years. Alex, this one before the break, and this is a beauty.
Oh, no.
I love this question. What's the worst drink choice of all the Aussie players you have played with?
Oh, that's easy. That is actually an easy question. My first tour with New South Wales up to Maroochydore, Shane Lee, it must have been all the rookies had to drink it. Then it felt like I had 5 dry wheat bix in my mouth.
Not the cement mixer.
That's it.
The cement mixer.
Oh, mate, yuck. And mate, I was dry reaching and, mate, everyone else was laughing at the young rookies, but we all had to skull one and things like that.
That's as early 2000s as a jug of illusions.
Oh, yeah.
The old cement mixer.
Yeah, but it just curled in your mouth. And, mate, it was... And Shane Lee, there's a heap of rookies on that trip. It was our first, and we're at the surf club for an afternoon. The game got rained off, and yeah, I can still remember it now.
Good times. Quick drinks break here on Willow Talk.
yuck.
Ask Hadds back in a moment.
Yuck.
Continuing on with Ask Hadds, Ben has got a question before the break. You still got the memory. Your senses have kicked in. You can remember the taste of the cement mixer.
I can. My tongue's going over my teeth. I feel disgusting.
Okay, get this out of your mind then with this. Ben asks, what's your favourite memory from playing cricket in Canberra?
I hope my favourite memory of Canberra is just around the corner.
I
hope they get a franchise team in the Big Bash. But my favourite memory was the first game we won in Bendigo against Victoria. And the reason that was so influential in my thoughts is we were never meant to win a game. And there was a lot of guys that had the opportunity to play at that level that never thought they would. I was probably in a different boat, just like a bit like Merv Hughes, that he'd played his international career. I looked like I was going to get the opportunity to play at New South Wales and move forward. So I was going to get more opportunities. But there was guys like, people wouldn't know them, Peter Solway, Ian Garrity, Darryl McDonald. They're not names that people remember, but what they are were stalwarts of Canberra cricket. And to see the excitement on their face and the passion that they showed to not just get the opportunity to Canberra to play, but to actually win a game. I've been involved in some great wins all around the world for Australia, but that one there was just reward for those guys, but also the administration.
Yeah.
Mate, there was grown men in tears. They never thought the day would come that Canberra would get the opportunity to, one, play in the state competition, but two, to beat a Victorian team that had people like Dean Jones, Brad Hodge, Darren Berry. That was as good as it gets.
Bring back the Comets.
Oh, how good would that be? There's room for them.
There is, especially with privatisation potentially coming in the Big Bash.
Maybe that's a twist.
Kartik asks, what do you think of the 2014 Swami Army on Boxing Day against India? They were just giving it to you until they all went quiet when you took a screamer of Ryan Harris.
Well, Kartik, I find these questions interesting. I remember the game and I remember the Swami Army. They were good. They had some... But I can never remember what they were saying. Like, it's like I'm out in the middle and they could be yelling whatever they want to be yelling.
80 metres away.
Yeah, but I'm not hearing if it's an attack on me. But if I shut you up to take a screamer, well, good. But same with the Barmy Army and Swami Army.
Yeah.
I think what opposition teams, supporters need to realise is we enjoy that part of the game.
Yeah.
One of the great things about an Ashes series here is 25,000 Barmy Army come.
And the trumpet starts halfway through the day.
Well, the trumpet starts, the songs that they sing about everyone. Sometimes they're not flattering, but they do add something to the game. And I remember Turin Stewart Clark actually nicked the bugler's bugle.
Juvenile behaviour.
Yeah, it's fun. You get bored on tour. You drink Bacardi Breezes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they were going to stop them, the bugle playing. I remember an Ashes series, and we said, no. We're happy with that. That was all part of the theatre. It gets the whole crowd going, and the emotions of the game change when you get big supporter bases. It's the same as going to India. One of the beauties of, yes, the conditions are different, but the passion the crowd shows, it's hard not to get energy off them. So, yeah, if it's the catch I'm thinking of, it was Ryan Harris on the second or third morning.
I'm looking at the photo right now. Look at you.
Yeah.
You're just sideways.
Well, what happened is the fast bowlers get the paint on the grass and get their mark. And I thought this was a mark I was for Ryan Harris. I got the wrong one.
Yeah.
And I was a metre closer. And as I went down in the crouch, I realised that. And Pujara went to cut it. And I was out of position. And I just happened to dive, get hold of it one hand. Lucky, or we would have looked a bit stupid.
Yeah.
But I think that was my 250th catch.
Not a bad one. Is your photo on the mantelpiece somewhere in the house?
No.
If you have a mantelpiece?
You wouldn't know I was a cricketer if you walked in.
Jeffrey Dujon liked that photo. It's outstanding. Baru asks, best and worst pitch you've kept on?
Well, one of the most influential pitches that I think changed my career was the SCG in its early days.
Yeah.
Because it was
both both good and bad.
It was, because it would change so much. And when you were young, I spent 12 months hitting balls to Phil Emery when he was keeping and talking about exactly this. The wicket day 3 and 4 was a nightmare to keep on. It turned, McGill had turned the ball off the wicket. Off spinners would go through the gate or hit the shiny side and skid. And they're the wickets you think, the bounce up, hit you in the face. And so they're so different, but they also made your craft so much fun.
Put you in tune.
Yeah, so they were the ones that enjoyed the most. You'd have the ones also, you go to the Gabba and it's green. Not one ball would go below your waist, and you got 5 catches. They nick it, you got a week to catch it, and it's a beautiful day. But there was a one I played a test match in Nagpur.
Yeah.
I think Jason Crazer got 8 wickets.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Seawag went nuts in the first session, but I think the second ball of the game went through the top and exploded, and you think, this is going to be hard work. But those ones you talk about that are so different, and I can make a case on they are the worst wickets. They're also the most enjoyable.
Dunk's got a question on the Secret Cricket Club. What was the hardest spell of bowling you kept to? And he said, also, what's your favourite spell you kept to?
I tell you what the hardest spell of bowling was. There's a test match at Lords. Peter Siddle was playing and Jono was playing. And what happens at Lords, I hadn't really encountered it before. The ball wobbles when it comes through to you. So it was hard to line up. Then the ball would just get to you and drop.
Why is that?
Well, no one actually really knows the answer. They can say, is it moisture in the ground? Is it the ball? Is it the drainage? No one knows. But the ball wobbles a lot when it goes past the bat.
Is there a magnetic field nearby or something?
It feels like it. But you heard a lot about it. And you get spoken about keeping-wise. You got to trust your technique when you put under pressure. I wasn't trusting shit. Mate, my hands and everything were moving. And you start to think, I don't want the ball to come to me.
Yeah.
And Jono was on a bit of a heater where he was bowling everywhere. He's having a bad time in the Ashes, and I couldn't reach them. And I remember the media liaison, our guy, I can't remember who it was Lockie Patterson. Yeah, I can't quite remember. But they said, who's going to do the press? We've had a shocking day. I thought, oh, God, you know what? I'll do it. So I walked in, and before they asked the question, I said, mate, I felt like I was in quicksand today. I just had one of those days when nothing went right. I didn't want the ball to come through to me, and it was a great learning experience, but holy shit, I hated it. And then they went, no more questions. I jumped on the front foot straight away and said, mate, that was tough.
Instead of giving it to Mitch Johnson and making you became the quote machine.
Yeah, so
jumped on a grenade for your teammates.
Well,
done,
mate, I jumped on a grenade for myself because I couldn't say I had a good day. Mate, I'd never experienced, like the ball would come to you, it would drop half a foot.
Yeah.
About to catch it, and
good times.
Oh, great times.
And your favourite one, I'm going to put words in your mouth here. Mitch Johnson one Saturday afternoon in an Ashes test against England at the Adelaide Oval.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
was like fun. It was fun to watch.
That was a favourite. So some of the other ones, the most favourite spells I've had are keeping to Nathan Lyon.
Okay.
Where, and this is going to sound weird, where you don't get the ball. And I'll explain to you why. If you keep to someone like Nathan Lyon, his big wicket ball can be the little outside edge. And you can go a session or 40 minutes where he's building pressure and he's set up to go in the position, the ball doesn't come to you. And you can repeat that process for half an hour without getting the ball. And then if you lose your concentration or just get lazy in your technique, then they nick it. Then you go,
then you're stuffed.
Then you drop it, then you start that process again and it happens again. And some of the best spells I've kept to have been Nathan Lyon, where you've got to stay in the contest the whole time. You get off the end of the day and you're cooked. And I had Steve Rickson was on staff a lot with Australia. Tim Nielsen was as well. and you'd come off and no one else would know.
Mm.
And you might have taken one catch, if that, and you had an absolute blind of a day.
Yeah.
And no one would know because you haven't taken any catches. And you go and you just cooked.
But they know.
They know because the work it takes to hold your position, your concentration. Then you have other days where you get 5 catches. I remember doing it against Victoria. I took 5 catches. Steve Rickson sits down next to me. He goes, "How'd you keep?" And I went, "Oh, it's stumper. I can't lie here." I said, "Oh, well, I was lucky to get 5 catches, but I was a bit lazy." He goes, "Yeah."
He just knew.
And 11 other blokes are going, "Mate, well, kept 5 catches."
Brilliant. Ben has a question. Best prankster you played with?
Actually, I played with this guy, then he coached us.
Mm-hmm.
Darren Lehman.
Okay. Yeah.
His words were never fuck with the fucker. And he was one that you had to be really careful if you're doing a prank, because there's a story in Queensland when he was coaching, and one of the players, I know, pranked him or did something. So the next thing you know, he'd put the guy's car in the classifiers for no money, and he's getting call after call. And yeah, Darren Lehman was by far the best and the sneakiest.
I won't go into detail because I reckon we'll try and get him on and, go down that path with him. Best nickname in cricket and why? Asks Marcos.
Marcos, best nickname. I can't remember. No, I haven't got.
Yeah, there's a lot of Australian names who are
like-
just a play on their last name,
Yeah,
isn't
Pup, because he's the youngest.
it? Yeah.
Punter, because he liked to punt.
Yeah.
Rhino, Ryan Harris, Rhino. Like
Junior, because he was second out of the
yeah,
womb.
Yeah, so we're not that good of. I've got it.
Mm.
Don Nash.
Poor old Donny. He's
Mate,
mentioned.
yeah.
He's mentioned a few times.
Mate,
on
he
the
was
Willow
one of
Talk.
the. He was a very, very talented cricketer. He
Yeah.
would have been. I think his daughter might have played for the Matildas now.
Yes, Jess. She's
Yep.
a talented
Yep.
defender.
Well,
She's around the scene at the moment.
there was a game that they started calling him the Weber. He's got these skinny little legs and he had this big barrel chest gut, and I thought that was quite clever.
Oh, poor old Weber. You've mentioned that once or twice, and he gets another mention here. Konstas, who's the most irritating player you played against? I mean, you being the competitive beast, you probably define irritating as a guy you just can't get out.
No. Irritating. Cameron Akmal was pretty irritating behind the stumps. He just didn't shut up, no matter if he had a good day, bad day. And I never knew what he was saying.
Yeah.
It was always through me to bat pad or something. He just never shut up. No matter what the situation, the game, you could have been 400 in front.
Nathaniel asked, this is a tough one for you. Which English player do you secretly wish was Australian?
Ooh.
Apart from Josh Inglis.
I tell you what, there's been times that Stuart Broad,
Yeah.
and that's pretty hard to say, but mate, Stuart Broad would have to be one.
He would have taken a few wickets on our decks,
Yeah.
correct?
And he was one that he had a naughty side to him as well. He's a bit of a larrikin. He loved to get in the contest. It looked like to me he hated losing, and he hated losing against us. And they're good traits to have with someone on your team. I didn't think I'd ever say that.
No, either did I. Graham Swan, though, would have been bloody, given his appearance here a few weeks ago on Willow Talk, he would have been good to have in a dressing room.
Yes, he
That's
would
right. I'm still laughing at his Andrew Strauss story with the bat that Ricky Ponting chucked into a vat of ice. Anyway, go back and check that one out on the Willow Talk feed. Geordie asked, what's the worst keeping mistake you made?
Oh, God, there's a lot here. My last test I played actually at Cardiff. I can remember one. I can remember Joe Root came out to bat, and I went down to McCrouch, and we had a plan for Joe Root to have a really square point, and so because he used to come off his drive, and they weren't in the right position. As I went down in McCrouch, I'm sort of looking at that trying to get their attention to come finer. Then he's nicked it, and I went, oh no, and reacted and went, dived and missed it. It might have gone to first slip or might not carry. I should have got it. I don't think you ever drop a catch at international level where you engage in the game. You can think back to catches you dropped that your mind was going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And at this time, I remember going down and trying to get Point's attention to come finer. Then I looked up. He was about to let it go. Just get through this. But, oh, shit, he's nicked. Oh, no.
Too late.
Yeah, you got 100.
Awesome. And lastly, Charlie asked the question, what's your favourite thing about heels? Lisa, not Ian.
Ian.
No, Elisa, our co-host.
The captain.
We're going to do an Ask Heels.
I think her longevity at the top.
Yeah.
She's been at the top of the game a long time. She's inspired a lot of women to play the game. But the other one thing I really do like is her appetite for big events. Like you would look at World Cup finals. She mightn't be playing the game she wants, but you look at all of the big wins Australia have had over the last 10 years. Her name's at the top.
That was Ask Hadds. Thank you, mate. Catch you soon.
Time to get a breezer.
It is. Let's go. Yeah, thanks for watching the Willow Talk podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't have to miss an episode wherever you are. And while you're at it, check out these videos up here. They're mostly good.